Chapter 3, Part 2. The Greatest Gift. Of all the creatures in the world, humans are physically the most ill-equipped. A human cannot fly like a bird, outrun a leopard, swim like an alligator, nor climb trees like a monkey. A human doesn't have the eye of an eagle, nor the claws and teeth of a wild cat. Physically, humans are helpless and defenseless. A tiny insect can kill them, but nature is reasonable and kind. Nature's greatest gift to humankind is the ability to think. Humans can create their own environment, whereas animals adapt to their environment. Sadly, very few people use the greatest gift, the ability to think, to its full potential. Failures are of two kinds: those who did and never thought, and those who thought and never did. Going through life without using your ability to think is like shooting without aiming. Life is like a cafeteria. You take your tray, select your food, and pay at other end. You can get anything you want as long as you are willing to pay the price. In a cafeteria, if you wait for people to serve you, you will wait forever. Life is like that too. You make choices and pay the price to succeed. Life is full of choices and compromises. Destiny is not a matter of chance, it is a matter of choice. It is not a thing to be waited for, it is a thing to be achieved. William Jennison Bryan. At first glance, it might seem that there is a contradiction in the statement that life is full of choices and compromises. If life is full of choices, where is the question of compromise? But even a compromise is a choice. Let's evaluate this. How is life full of choices? When we eat too much, we make a choice to be overweight. When we drink too much, we make a choice to have a headache the next day. If we drink and drive, we choose to risk being killed or killing someone in an accident. When we ill-treat people, we choose to be ill-treated in return. When we don't care about other people, we choose not to be cared for by other people. Choices have consequences. We are free to make our choice, but after we have chosen, the choice controls us. We have equal opportunity to be unequal. The choice is ours. Life can be compared to a pottery maker who shapes clay in any form he wants. Similarly, we can mold our lives into any shape we want. How is life full of compromises? Life is not just party and pleasure, it is also pain and despair. Unthinkable things happen, sometimes everything turns upside down. Bad things happen to good people. Some things are behind control, such as physical disability and birth defects. We cannot choose our parents or the circumstances of our birth. If the ball bounced the wrong way for you, I am sorry. But what to do, you do from the point on. Cry or take the ball and run. That is a choice you have to make. On a clear day, there are hundreds of boats sailing in all different directions in a lake. Even though the wind is blowing in one direction, the sailboats are going in different direction. Why? It depends on the way that sail is set, and that is determined by the sailor. The same is true of our lives. We can't choose the direction of the wind, but we can choose how we set our sail. Health, happiness, and success depend upon the fighting spirit of each person. The big thing is not what happens to us in life, but what we do about what happened to us. George Allen. We can choose our attitude. Though we cannot always choose our circumstances, the choice is either to act like a victor or a victim. It is not our position but our disposition that determines our destiny. It takes both rain and sunshine to create a rainbow. Our lives are no different. There is happiness and sorrow. There is good and bad, dark spots and bright spots. When we can handle adversity well, it is only strengthens us. We cannot control all the events that happen in our lives, but we can control how we deal with them. Richard Blechiden wanted to promote Indian tea at St. Louis World Fair. It was very hot and no one wanted to sample his tea. Blechiden saw that iced drinks were doing a flourishing business. It dawned on him to make his tea into an iced drink, mix in some sugar and offer it for sale. People loved it. That was introduction of iced tea to the world. Human beings are not like an acorn which has no choice. An acorn cannot decide whether to become a giant tree or to become a food for the squirrels. Human beings have choices. If nature gives us a lemon, we have a choice either to cry or make lemonade. When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, you can react responsibly or resentfully. The choice is yours. Qualities that make a person successful. Number one, desire. The motivation to succeed comes from the burning desire to achieve a purpose. Napoleon Hill wrote, whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve. A young man asked Socrates the secret of success. Socrates told the young man to meet him near the river the next morning. They met. Socrates asked the young man to walk with him toward the river. When the water got up to their necks, Socrates took the young man by surprise and dunked him under the water. The boy struggled to get out, but Socrates was strong and held him down. When the body started turning blue, Socrates raised the boy's head out of the water. The first thing the young man did was to gasp and take a deep breath of air. Socrates asked, what did you want the most when you were underwater? The boy replied, air. Socrates said, that is the secret to success. When you want to success intensely as you wanted air underwater, then you will have it. There is no other secret. A burning desire is the starting point of all accomplished. Just like a small fire cannot give much heat, a weak desire cannot produce great results. Number two, commitment. Try not to become a success, but rather try to become a man of value. Albert Einstein. Integrity and wisdom are the two pillars on which to build and keep commitments. This point is best illustrated by the manager who told one of his staff members, integrity is keeping your commitment even if you lose money, and wisdom is not to make such foolish commitments. Prosperity and success are the result of our thoughts and decisions. It is for us to decide what thoughts will dominate our lives. Success is not an accident, it is the result of our attitude. Playing to win requires commitment. There is a big difference between playing to win and playing not to lose. When we play to win, we play with enthusiasm and commitment. Whereas when we play not to lose, we are playing from a position of weakness. When we play not to lose, we are playing to avoid a failure. We all want to win, but very few are prepared to pay the price of prepared to win. Winners condition and commit themselves to winning. Playing to win comes out of inspiration, whereas playing not to lose comes out of desperation. There are no ideal circumstances. There never will be. To teach any destination, you can neither drift nor lie at anchor. You need to sometimes sail with the wind and sometimes against it, but sail you must. Ask any coach or athlete to define the difference between the best and the worst team. There would be a very little difference in the player's physique, talent and ability. The biggest difference is an emotional difference. The winning team has dedication and they make the extra effort. They have a stronger desire to win. To a winner, the tougher the competition, the greater the incentive. The stronger the motivation, the better the performance, the sweeter the victory. New challenges develop new potential. Most athletes' best performance have come when the odds were slightly against them. That is when they dig deeper into their emotional reservoir. When I had get tired and want to stop, I would wonder what my next opponent was doing. When I could see him still working, I would start pushing myself. When I could see him in the shower, I pushed myself harder. Dan Gable, Olympic gold medalist in wrestling. Success is not in the achievement, but in the achieving. Some people never try because they are afraid to lose. At the same time, they don't want to stay where they are because they are afraid to be left behind. There is a risk either way. Ships that go out into the open waters face risk from a storm. But if they sit in the harbor, they would rust anyway, and that is not what they were built for. The difference between playing to win and playing not to lose is that you cannot be committed and not take a risk. People who play to win thrive on a pressure, and who play not to lose don't know how to succeed. Pressure makes people who play to win prepare harder. For those who play not to lose, the pressure saps their energy. They want to win, but they are so afraid of losing that they can't reach their full potential. They lose energy worrying about losing instead of concentrating their effort on winning. Losers want security, winners seek opportunity. Losers are more afraid of life than of death. Failing is not a crime, but lack of effort is. The quality of person's life is direct proportion to their commitment to excellence, regardless of their chosen field of endeavor. Vince Lombardi. Conviction leads to commitment. There is a difference between preference and conviction. Preference are negotiable, conviction are not. Preference give way under pressure, conviction becomes stronger. That is why it is important to have a good value system so that our convictions are worthy, because convictions in turn lead to commitment. Number 3. Responsibility. A duty which becomes a desire will ultimately become a delight. George Gritter. People with character accept responsibilities. They make decisions and determine their own destiny in life. Accepting responsibility involves taking risk and being accountable, which is sometimes uncomfortable. Most people would rather stay in their comfort zone and live passive lives without accepting responsibilities. They drift through life waiting for things to happen, rather than making them happen. Accepting responsibilities involves taking calculated, not foolish risks. It means evaluating all pros and cons, then taking the most appropriate decision or action. Responsible people don't think that the world owes them a living. You cannot bring a prosperity by discouraging thrift. You cannot strengthen the weak by weakening the strong. You cannot enrich the poor by impoverishing the rich. You cannot establish sound security on borrowed money. You cannot help the wage earner by pulling down the wage payer. You cannot build a character and courage by taking away man's initiative and independence. You cannot further brotherhood of man by inciting class hatred. You cannot keep out of a trouble by spending more than you earn. You cannot help men permanently by doing for them what they could and should be for themselves. Abraham Lincoln. If you are climbing an icy mountain or fighting a war, a mistake may kill you. However, for most of us, our reaction to mistakes we make are more important than the mistakes themselves. Responsible people accept and learn from their mistakes. Some people never learn. We can do the three things about mistakes: ignore them, deny them, accept, learn from them, and not repeat them. The third alternative takes courage. It is risky but rewarding. If instead we defend our weakness, we actually start building our lives around them, making them a center point rather than overcoming them. When things go wrong, negative people play the blame game. The retiring president of a company, after a standard farewell, gave two envelopes marked number 1 and number 2 to the incoming president and said, "Whenever you run into a management crisis you cannot handle by yourself, open envelope number 1. At the next crisis, open the second one." A few years later, a major crisis came. The president went into the safe and pulled out the first envelope and said, "Blame it on your predecessor." A few years later, second crisis came. The president went for the second envelope and it said, "Prepare two envelopes for your successor." Number 4. Hard work. Luck. I don't know anything about luck. I have never banked on it, and I am afraid of people who do. Luck to me is something else, hard work, and realizing what is opportunity and what isn't. Lucille Ball. Success is not something that you run into by accident. It takes a lot of preparation and character. Everyone likes to win, but most people aren't willing to put in the effort and the time to prepare to win. It takes sacrifice and self-discipline. There is no substitute for the hard work. Henry Ford said, "The harder you work, the luckier you get." The world is full of willing workers, some willing to work and others willing to let them. I like to work off a day. I don't care if it is the first 12 hours or the second 12 hours. Cameron Wilson, a CEO of Holiday Inn. Just as a person cannot learn to spell by sitting on a dictionary or cannot develop a capacity to do anything without hard work, professionals make things look easy because they have mastered the fundamentals of whatever they do. If people knew how hard I had to work to gain my mastery, it wouldn't seem wonderful at all. Michelangelo. The average person puts only 25% of his energy and ability into his work. The world takes off its hat to do those who put in more than 50% of their capacity, and stands on its head for those few and far between souls who devote 100%. Andrew Carnage. Successful people ask how much work, not how little work. They ask how many hours, not how few. The best musicians practice every day, often for hours. Winners don't need to apologize for winning because they work long and hard. Everything that we enjoy is a result of someone's hard work. Some work is visible while others go unseen, but ultimately both are equal and important. So take a pride in your work, and whenever there is a chance, show appreciation for the hard work of others by treating their work with the care and respect. Work hard and well, and you will have the satisfaction of seeing your project completed. Sometimes others may show appreciation, but that's a bonus, for the major satisfaction comes from within. Some people stop working as soon as they find a job. Regardless of unemployment statistics, it is hard to find a good people to work. Many people don't understand the difference between idle time and leisure time. Idle time amounts to wasting or stealing time. Leisure time is earned. Enjoying leisure times leaves us energized and refreshed. Idle time saps our energy. Procrastination is idle time. Excellence is not luck. It is the result of a lot of hard work and practice. Hard work and practice make a person better at whatever he is doing. Far and away the best prize that life offers is the chance to work hard at something worth doing. Theodore Roosevelt. Hard work is both a beginning and an end in itself. The harder a person works, the better he feels. And the better he feels, the harder he works. The best ideas will not work unless you work the ideas. Great talent without willpower and hard work is a waste. We need to learn from a nature. The duck keeps paddling relentless underneath but appears smooth and calm on the top. Once when the great violinist Fritz Kreisler finished a concert, someone came up to the stage and said, "I would give my life to play the way you do." Kreisler replied, "I did." There is no magic and wand for success. In the real world, success comes to doers, not observers. A horse that pulls cannot kick, a horse that kicks cannot pull. Let's pull and stop kicking. Without hard work, there is no success. Nature gives birds their food but does not put in their nest. They have to work hard for it. Nothing comes easily. Milton rose every morning at 4 a.m. to write a Paradise Lost. It took Noah Webster 36 years to compile a Webster dictionary. Even a small accomplishment required hard work. The smallest the accomplishments, it's better than the biggest task. Number 5. Character. Character is the sum total of a person's value, beliefs and personality. It is reflected in our behavior and in your actions. It needs to be preserved more than the richest jewel in the world. To be a winner takes character. George Washington said, I hope I shall always possess firmness and virtue enough to maintain what I consider the most valuable of all the titles, the character of an honest man. It is not the polls or a public opinion, but the character of the leader that determines the course of history. There is no twilight zone in integrity. The road to success has many pitfalls. It takes a lot of character and effort not to fall into them. It also takes character not to be disheartened by critics. Why do most people love success but hate successful people? Whenever a person rises above the average, plenty of people are ready to pull him down. Chances are pretty good when you see a person on the top of a hill that he just did not get there by default but had to endure a tough climb. It's not different in life. In any profession, a successful person will be envied by those who are not successful. Critics have always been sitting at the sidelines. They are underachievers who shout at the doers, telling them how to do it right. But remember, critics are not the leaders or doers. Don't let criticism distract you from reaching your goal. Average people play it safe to avoid criticism by saying, doing, or being nothing. They avoid criticism and guarantee that they remain in average. The more you accomplish, the more you risk being criticized. The critic is one of who knows the price of everything and value of nothing. Oscar Wilde. No one likes to be criticized, but we learn and grow from honest criticism. Just as it takes character not to be disheartened by critics, it also takes character to be listened to critics. It is very important to be able to distinguish honest criticism from a jealousy inspired criticism. This is the skill that successful people have. Part of the skill is being able to evaluate the motive of the criticizer. The other part, and perhaps the largest part, is self knowledge. The successful person knows himself well enough to recognize when a particular criticism is valid. Successful people don't like to be criticized any more than anyone else does. But when they deem the criticism is valid, they remain calm and in control and listen carefully. They ask for suggestions on how to improve. In fact, successful people often ask for criticism from those whose opinion they trust. They ask, how am I doing? How can I improve?